Right, welcome to another Tactica video and showcase for the Adeptus Mechanicus. And in this video we're going to check out one of the controversial units. A lot of people have written them off, and that's Ruststalkers. I'm a fan of them, and I think they still work okay in 8th edition, but we'll take a look at them here in this episode. They do feature in my new revamped Adeptus Mechanicus army. I rate them. They've done well in the last battle report, but we'll discuss them here to see what you think of those if you're considering using them in your army. There's strengths, there's weaknesses, we'll check that out. We'll zoom in and take a look at the models for them as well. So here's the models. They are strange looking things. Sort of cyborg, half man, half machine, limbs removed, replaced by these biomechanics, legs and arms. So this one's armed with the cord claw, which is this thing here, and then the transonic razor, which is the shorter version of the sword. Used to carry grenades as well, but they don't have rules for them anymore. Mine scrambler grenades, don't get those. So I originally made these with swords, so some of them are carrying the long swords here, but they all, for the rules and the combination I go for, it's all transonic razors. There's another one. And I'll show you the leader. The cape. Now they're difficult, not say difficult, but you've got to be careful when you transport them. You can see that bend in that sword there, that's where this one's broken on me before. You've got things like this here as well, so they are delicate models. Just treat them the same way as you would Dark Elder. They're fragile for sure, so to be very careful when you're transporting them around. I very gently surround them with bubble wrap, and that usually protects them pretty good, but you do have to be careful with them. But there they are. If you like the way these have come out, then check out the painting tutorial on the channel here for Scitari, and you'll see exactly how to paint them to this standard. And then on the Plus channel there is in-depth painting tutorials, or an in-depth painting tutorial for the Dune Crawlers, and then also for Belisarius Call as well. So that's them. We'll take a look at the rules now. So they're controversial now. People are saying there's no point in taking them, or there's units for the same points cost that are more effective, which is probably true, but I still think they're okay. The things I've struggled with is I've gone for Scitari themes. That sort of eliminated some of the other options that are available, like the Electro Priest, for example, which probably are better. So I've had to try and make do with the Scitari based units, which is these, and then also the infiltrators as well. I still think they're okay, but against a specific type of target I think they're pretty good. So they come under elites. They've drastically reduced in points. 7th edition, they used to be very expensive, but they were better. Now in 8th edition they're not as good, but they are cheaper in points than they used to be. So Ruststalkers just here. They're movement 8, so they are swift. They're 3+ weapon skill and ballistic skill. Strength 4, which is good. They would really struggle if they were strength 3, but they're strength 4. Toughness 3, which is a bit of an issue. They're not quite so tough as other units. 2 wounds though, so they can absorb some damage. 3 attacks, that's a nice lot of attacks, which is helpful for the weapons that they have. Very, very helpful. Leadership 6, which isn't so good. And then 4 up save, which is sort of average. The leader gives you, the Princeps gives you an extra bit of leadership. Leadership 7, but still it's not that great. He does get extra attacks. He's on 4 attacks for him, which is very, very good. And it's all the same across here. So you get 1 Ruststalker Princeps and 4 Ruststalkers. You can take another 5, so you can go up to unit of 10. I've gone for unit of 8. For these to be effective, I reckon you do need a unit of 7 or more. Anything less, and you charge them in, and they don't really do too much. 8 or more. I've gone for 8. I think that's pretty much there. I think that's pretty good for me. It's worked out well. The way I just did 8 because just being sensible with the kits that I purchased. See, they come in boxes of 5, so I got a unit of 5 of these originally, then I got a unit of 5 infiltrators, and I bought another box of 5. And you can make them into either type. So I made 3 of them as Ruststalkers, added them to that unit, 2 of them as infiltrators. So I have unit 7 infiltrators, unit of 8 of those. That meant that I used all the models up with none to spare. Just being sensible when I purchased them. But 8's worked out really good. So the weapons is Transonic Razor or Cord Claw, And that's what I've chosen. I do think it's better than the blades. So the cord claw, just to give you an idea of points here. The Ruststalkers, they're 15 points each as a basic model. Then the cord claw is 3 points, that's cheap. The transonic razor is 2 points, so they're 20 points each. They used to be about 35, so they've significantly come down in points. Then if you went for the sword, the transonic blades, obviously you don't have to pay for the cord claw, you're just taking the blades, and that is, let's just see what the option is here. Yeah, with transonic blades you get 2 blades, and that is 7. So you actually you do pay more, dear me. So you're on 7 points, you add into that, so it's 22 points each. Yeah, so the cord claw and the razor is 5 for those 2, and the blades is straight 7. No, I can't see any point in taking the blades at all. This is why I swapped them out. See, the blades here, you get +1 strength. Okay, so you're fighting at strength 5, which is helpful. There's no difference on the AP, there's no difference on the damage, and every time I roll a 6 it's a mortal wound. Totally no point in taking the blades. The cord claws and transonic razors is actually better, and you pay less. So the way these weapons work, the damage comes from these from mortal wounds. Mortal wounds are very, very powerful in 8th edition. They ignore invuln saves, and they ignore armor, it just goes straight through. So this means that mortal wounds, and this will give you an idea of what kind of targets you go after. Mortal wounds are very, very powerful against your hyper elite units. So units that carry an excellent armor save or a very strong invuln save that the opponents paid a lot of points for. These guys can just bypass that with mortal wounds. So that's the key to kind of get they're after. And then just thinking in the bigger picture, I've got my Admech army, I've got my hordes of infantry, I've got my gun platforms. The opponent deep strikes in something very elite, something very good. These guys, I usually keep them with the battle line now, they move out and they take on that elite unit. They need to strike first, so they get as much attacks as they can, and that they get to strike before the opponent kills them because they're not that tough. And they just saturate them with mortal wounds, which we'll illustrate a bit later with some dice rolls to give you an idea. And that's the way to use them. That's the way to use them. So I use them as a counter-attacking unit. I try and preserve them. I try and bury them inside my gun line. The opponent's firing at other stuff, bigger targets, bigger guns, ignoring these. And if I can keep them at the high amount of models and then hit the opponent and saturate them with enough mortal wounds, it will bring down that elite unit, whatever it may be. The mortal wounds bypass. That's their strength. Their weakness is against other types of targets because their weapons have got no minus on the AP. You're just hitting the opponent with lots of hits. Yeah, well, hordes maybe. Very weak hordes, they'd be alright. Loads and loads of hits against your opponent. If he's got bad armor save, you're just going to cause loads of casualties. So yeah, they'd be good at that. And the bonus, the mortal wounds are just a bonus. Yes, they'd be alright. And they're durable enough, the 2 wounds, 4 up save, you know, a poor horde unit hitting back, they can absorb some damage. So yeah, you could use them that way. So what's great about the cord claw is, see, like you've got strength for the user of these weapons, but it's irrelevant because of the special rules here. It's no minus on the AP. The damage is D3, and this is crucial. The cord claw can only be used to make 1 attack each time this model fights. Each time I make a wound of a 6 with this weapon, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds instead of the normal damage. The great thing about mortal wounds is they roll on from one model to the next. So say you've got, you're fighting against a unit, you cause 3 mortal wounds from this 1 attack, and each of the models has a wound. It's not lost on that one model. It all passes on from one model to the next, which is brilliant. Say you've got the target's got models with 2 wounds each, and that wound you cause 3 wounds. You know, the 3rd wound isn't lost; it is passed on to the next model. So that makes mortal wounds even more powerful, and we'll illustrate that a bit later. So that D3 mortal wounds is very good. Then the razor is the same principle, but just it doesn't have the D3 damage. It's just 6s when you wound is mortal wounds as well. So It's a lot of attacks. Only 16, 24, 25 attacks from this unit at freeze to hit. And then you're looking for your wounds, your mortal wounds coming through. If you roll well enough, they'll cause havoc for the opponent. So I think they're alright. I really do think they're okay. And again, you've paid the points then for these, just refer back to this here, is 160 points. It's 20 points each, times 8, so 160 points. It's not so bad. If you lose them, it's not one of your major like 250 point units. It's not so bad. The danger I found with those just sort of tactics here is when they get caught out by the opponent. Caught out with shooting or in combat, they get hit first, they get blown away and they're reduced down. Say you lose 6 and or 5 of them, you've just got a small amount, and they lose their effectiveness. They're much stronger when they keep their strength. So I've been holding them back within the battle line and then sending them out if I need to. Instead of just charging them thinking, oh, they're a combat unit, I'll send them out straight away and they just get blown away. So they sort of stay out of trouble to start off with, and that means that not as much attention is directed towards them. And then as the game goes on, the longer they survive and the longer they're kept fresh, the more powerful they become. Good for mopping up and so on. They do have a 6+ invuln save, which might stop the odd bit of damage from coming through. And that is about it for those. So it's that combination, Cord Claw and Transonic Razor. We've talked about tactics for them. It's not much in the way of these stratagems here, not really for these that can help out. Yeah, there's Conqueror Doctriner, +1 to hit. That's helpful enough. Which is here, which is 1 command. There's a few little additions you can make. That's for shooting. Yeah, so here as well, the other things that can benefit them a little bit is your Canticles. So things like Benediction of the Omnissiah is reroll hit rolls of 1, getting loads and loads of attacks. Well, that's shooting, that one. It's around here somewhere. Fight phase, sorry, Chant or Cant of the Remorseless Fist. Reroll 1s. If you're going to get loads of attacks, you're going to roll up a good number of 1s. You get to reroll those. That helps out. So little bonuses here and there can help out for sure. So that's the kind of bonuses there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to line these up against a specific type of unit to show you potentially how effective they can be. So it's this kind of situation. You've got your Skitari battle line, and then a unit like this turns up. So not so many wounds, there's 10 wounds there, but heavily protected, 2 up armor save and a 3+ invuln save. Difficult for most of my army to deal with. I could charge in all my infantry and would barely scratch these guys. So, you know, real problem. But the strategy is keep these guys hidden, and then they burst out from the battle line 8 inches. They're not going to get overwatch. The Terminators have got no kind of overwatch, and then we'll see how well these guys can take these on. And it's the mortal wounds is the crucial bit for this. We'll say they charge in. This is it. This is where they try and save the Skitari battle line. In they go. So what you have to do is one of your attacks can be a Cord Claw attack. So that's 8 in total. So we'll do 8 separate Cord Claw attacks first of all. Now sometimes you're going to get a bad result on this. Sometimes you're going to get a good result. We'll see what happens. So 3+ for the Cord Claws. So you should be expecting to get a nice lot of hits. Yep. And now's the crucial roll. 6s. Got 1. Alright, so that's alright. That's no problem. 1's good. So you're expecting to get 1 or 2. Then you get your D3 mortal wounds. We've rolled a 6, and that's the good result we're looking for. D3 mortal wounds. You kill a whole model, and then it does overflow. You cause a wound on another. That's helpful. For every model that you kill, it's part of the mission accomplished, and it means less damage coming in against these. Then you go for your regular attacks after that. So these are 3 attacks each. You've used 1 up for the Cord Claw. You then have 2 remaining for each of these. That's 16, 17 with the leader's extra attack. So 3s. And again, that's the crucial roll. Now is 6s. there's 2 more. So I haven't done so well this time. That's another whole model. So they've partly done the mission. I do need to remember the rest come through as normal wounds. There's some wounds there. There may have been a wound from the previous roll as well. There's a healthy or helpful 1. That's another model lost. And they have partly fulfilled their mission just there. Now that was a full strength unit. You sort of have to weigh it up. That might have been a good idea to soften them up with some shooting and then try and mop up what was left. But they have done well there. They've killed 3 of those Terminators. That's really reduce them down, and even if they're utterly destroyed after this, you've taken the chunk out of those Terminators, and that's very, very helpful indeed. Let the Terminators fight back in 4s, in 2s. I do have a 6 up in 1 save, none, so I've lost 2, but that's a really good trade-off. Just there, I still have 6 of them left. There's still plenty of fight left in those. The Terminators have been severely reduced down. We'll fight back here with 6 Cord Claws in 3s. Any 6s here, there'll be big trouble. Yes, there's another one. D3 mortal wounds, roll a 6. That will be the end of those Terminators. That is a good result. I still get 12 attacks. I may have forgotten to roll up a regular save there. 13 with the leader still alive. In 3s, this is good. This is very, very good. Yep, got him. And there was those saves to make as well, which is passed. But 2 mortal wounds and that's the unit wiped out. So that gives you an idea of what they can do. And that's their prime kind of target. And for my army, that's the kind of target I'd struggle with. I don't really have much in my main battle line to counter them. And so that's where this is how crucial these guys are. Really, really good. And it doesn't matter what kind of armor save you got, how good your invuln save is, the mortal wounds just bypass all of that and can cause units like that a lot of trouble. Same thing for any kind of character. I think they'll struggle against vehicles. You saw how many wounds are coming through. Not that many wounds. So they cause some kind of trouble. They might do well against something like a Dreadnought, for example. With 8 wounds, they could mash their way through that pretty good. But there, they've got through the Terminators, and I think they've done a very good job. I saw that in a previous battle report. They were going from one target to the next, and didn't matter what the target was armed with, it was those mortal wounds that were causing trouble. So I rate them. So that specific role, I think they're very good. You know, I'm going to chuck them in against a vehicle here. We'll let the vehicle do Overwatch. 5 up save. No, so taking a wound is not really relevant. We'll just move them in, just to give you an idea. This isn't really the kind of target that I'm expecting them to go into. My infantry, my vehicles, Imperial Knight and so on, they could take on that kind of target, no problem. It's those Terminators that are more of a danger. Sort of the high-end elite, very well protected type units. But anyway, they've gone in, we'll see, because the mortal wounds could cause trouble here. So I've got 8 Cord Claw attacks in 3s. Look at that, it's horrific. Really shocking. Nothing at all. And then Transonic Razors here, which is 17. 3s, look at all those ones, that's incredible. Look at that. And then 5s for wounds. There's a mortal wound, and there is a normal save which has been passed, so nothing. So it's absolutely terrible. We'll have another go. That was the extreme end of poor. Still rolling very badly. 6s are good though. There's 1. That causes D3. So yeah, that's caused 3. That's a good start. And then 12, 16, 17. 3s here. Yeah, that reroll 1s would be very helpful. And then 5s and 6s. So there's another mortal wounds being caused. That goes to 4. And then there are some saves to make here as well. Past all of them. Yeah, so kind of mediocre. So 4 wounds on there. It's not much on a vehicle, but for a Terminator unit, for example, or a very powerful character, that's quite nasty. So You can see if they're not targeting their prime target, they're not so good, as you've just seen. So it's the elite type units, and so I tend to hold them back, keep them out of trouble, and save them for that point in the game where I really need them. And then helpful towards it, they're very vulnerable to shooting, I think. So if you hold them off, and then towards the end of the game you can send them out to mop up what's left. There may be a few weakened units around, a character that's got a few wounds remaining. These guys are great for moving in and just mopping them up, and just charging in, and then mortal wounds, wiping them out. I suppose you know that with mortal wounds it's just going to go through. You know that if you get them 6s, it's going to bypass whatever it is the opponent has as protection. So that's the showcase then for these. I would recommend them if you're going for, I know there's better units out there, but if you're going for a Scutari themed army, you do need some kind of combat potential, and so I would recommend these, but for that specific role of taking on the elite units, and as a countermeasure. So I don't charge these in against the opponent, they just get blown away, as I've learnt in previous games. I keep them with my main battle line, tucked or just sort of behind the main line, and then I send them out if I need to, and they can act as a deterrent as well, keep the opponent away from your other more vulnerable models like your walkers and so on. There it is, that is the Tactica. Leave your own comments and feedback if you rate these or not. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't, but if you can see their strengths, maybe you do use them and you have success with them, leave your comments and feedback there. If there's certain strategies you use, stratagem combinations, or they work together with other types of units, leave all that as well, and you can read through those comments and see what other experienced AdMech players have to say. But there it is, that's the Tactica and unit showcase for Sicarian Ruststalkers. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.